Hello, I am Jamie Elizabeth Hoodlick. My sister and I own a shop. It's Dirty Birdie's Vintage. I've always loved to collect vintage stuff, especially living in Chicago. When I moved back here, I was like, I'm not gonna wear these, I don't need them. And Jenna's like, let's sell them on eBay. And then she's like, you need to model them. And so we had fun doing that, and that's kind of how it turned out that I became obsessed with fashion and selling, and so yeah. Quiet, but also a little quirky. I come out of my shell if I get comfortable, for sure. So I guess I'm very reserved, but once I trust somebody or get this sort of feeling, then I kind of get bubbly. I tend to be pretty basic in a way, but with my basics, I usually like some piece to kind of be the star. It makes you stand out a little bit. Like I said, I like to stand out, but I don't like to be the center of attention. I totally went through phases, like I'm sure a lot of people do. I went through like this sporty phase where I wore Umbro, and then I went through the Gas and Esprit stage, and then in the 90s, I think I did the grunge phase. You know, I did all these like oversized flannel shirts and huge corduroy pants. I shop all the time because that's my job. And that's the amazing part of, like, one of the amazing parts of my job, because I go out and shop for other people and for the shop, but while doing that, I mean, you obviously are seeing things and you're like, yes, that's for me. And you have to think about it, because I usually always thrift, so everything is usually inexpensive and it's a write-off. So that's nice. I also shop at Revival a lot. And what was that? I got too excited. I bought this beautiful Hudson Bay Pendleton wool cardigan that is like my soulmate. I love him. So we're best friends. I love linen. I love silk. I love like gauzy cotton, you know? I tend to like billowy things. So is that a good answer? Yeah. I love gardening and being outside with my chickens. I paint, but mostly I work. I love looking at fashion magazines. I don't know if I have a particular like fashionista or icon, except for Rachel Zoe. I don't know if I necessarily like want to look like her or dress like her, but she is so unique, and who she is, like, she is her. So my scarves, I'd probably put in one scarf each from Oaxaca in Paris. Just, I guess, some of my favorite little pieces in my closet. You know, my Pendleton I'd put in there, and I would put in maybe a pair of jeans, some easy fitting jeans. I would probably put in a fancy like 50s dress or something like that I love. I think what I do is just take pieces from everything that I've liked, you know, in the past, and just kind of all clump it together as me, you know what I mean? Because that's my life. It's just the story. So I'll take, you know, I don't know if I'll take Umbro. I'll take Guess though again. Or like Old Esprit, hello. You know, and I just take pieces and, you know, making it a little puzzle of my fashion sense.
I am the answer to an ancestor's prayer for freedom. And my ability to be here and be supported in my art practice is not only the answer to like my personal prayers around that, but also like a collective sense of all of the people who have come before me. My name is Jade Ariana Fair, and I am the artist in residence for October and November 2017 at the Center for Afrofuturist Studies. My practice really kind of like touches all areas of my life, and I think that that's part of the one of the many legacies of like Black women artists that I'm indebted to and see myself in relationship to, is this understanding that one's art practice and one's life aren't these like separate conceptual spheres. It's like they're all interrelated, and there's no way to sort of like tease them apart. I have like a pretty strong spiritual practice, and I feel like my art making is an inherent part of that practice, and I don't really see a distinction between the two necessarily. They like inform one another. I feel like I've been developing a stronger sort of like personal visual vocabulary to talk about these things, and also in terms of like formally my practice. And I've been working a lot in this residency to, I guess, deepen that personal visual vocabulary and like understand how to make it make sense to someone other than me outside my head, you know? And a lot of my work is centered around questions of the body and sort of thinking about the ecology of the body, and also sort of like how we store and access memory within our bodies, specifically thinking about, as a Black artist, the ways that my body can be sort of this vessel or this archive of ancestral memories, some of which are painful, some of which are celebratory, and kind of trying to hold the complexity of that kind of all simultaneously. I have been so just isolated in my time here that it's made me have to go really deep inside myself, and I'm excited to see sort of what emerges from it. You know, I put a lot of pressure on myself initially to try to have some final exhibition ready, but what has happened once I let go of that, that's really beautiful, is just I'm just gonna kind of talk about the time that I've spent here and what it means, and just talk about the work and sort of what's been on top and in process while I've been here.
Keith, I'm not going to tell you again, you said the next morning. We were sitting in the Nova in Annie Blackman's driveway. Get out of this car. I couldn't tell you why I didn't want to stay at Annie Blackman's house. You claimed you needed to do some organizing and research in Sunflower County for Jesse Jackson's presidential campaign, and you didn't want me at the house alone because someone broke in a few months earlier. I told you that I knew you were lying, and I knew you were going to see Malachi Ford. Key, I'm not going to tell you again. Get your fat ass out of the car. I stood outside the Nova with arms folded over my belly and my chest. You never called me fat. You better have that essay done when I pick you up too, you said. I'm tired of playing with you. From outside the door, I opened my wallet, got your old license out, and threw it out the window. You threw the license back out of the passenger window and reversed out of the driveway. Ella didn't come back to Annie Blackman's house that Sunday, but Daryl, Swaney, and Wedge did. I asked Dougie what happened after I left the house. He said everyone ate hamburgers and smoked weed until more girls came over. He said that the girls who came over were older than Ella, and two of them had to go in Daryl's room with all the big boys, just like Ella had the day before. Late that Sunday afternoon, I noticed that almost all of us were in the pool except for Dougie. Sometimes Dougie left. Sometimes he'd just go make everyone cheeseburgers while he was gone. I walked to Dougie's bedroom. Nobody was there. I walked in the bathroom in the hall. No one was there either. Down the hall a bit from the room, I saw Daryl's bedroom door cracked. I got close enough to the door to see Swaney was standing in the middle of the room with wet maroon swim trunks around his calves. Dougie was on his knees in front of Swaney with his hands behind his back. He had his tongue out, licking the tip of Swaney's penis. As soon as they saw me, Swaney pulled up his trunks. Dougie dusted off his hands, rubbed them on his Pittsburgh Steelers shirt, and walked right by me with his head down. I turned, walked down the hall, and got ready to fight or sprint out of Annie Blackman's front door before Swaney grabbed my arm and asked me to sit down in the living room. I sat on a stool in front of Annie Blackman's piano, and Swaney sat next to me. He told me that he would teach me chopsticks, a song he said he learned 5 years ago when he was my age. He just said I have to promise not to tell anybody what I saw. I sat with both fists balled up on my thighs. Part of me wanted Swaney to touch me again so I could try to kill him. But the biggest part of me was afraid Swaney might make me get on my knees, make me put my hands behind my back, make me lick the head of his penis until he said, stop. I sat there, watching those still piano keys, half listening to Swaney play, and slowly talk his way through how he learned to play chopsticks again. When he was done, Swaney stood up and looked down at me one more time. Don't tell nobody, okay? I'm serious. I was just playing with that boy. You know what I'm saying? It's just a game. You hear me? Grandmama always taught me to empty my pockets before I swung on somebody. So I went in both of my pockets, took out my wallet, slammed your license down on the piano, and I got ready to try to cave in Swaney's chest. Swaney looked at the ID. Please don't say nothing to your mama. Your mama does not play. Oh shit, my daddy gonna fuck me up if he find out. I'm for real. That's just how me and D be playing. I'm for real, fat nigga, don't say nothing. I followed Swaney out of Annie Blackman's front door and watched him sprint down the road like he was being chased until his wind got bad. That's when he started walking, looking behind me, pointing. A few seconds later, Swaney was out of sight. I sat down in Annie Blackman's rocky driveway and started making designs with the rocks. My head hurt. I didn't understand why Swaney thought teaching me chopsticks would make what he did okay, or why Dougie's hands were behind his back while he was on his knees. I didn't understand why Swaney seemed so happy to be a part of that train the previous day, but so scared for me to know what he and Dougie were doing. A part of me didn't understand why the big boys wanted to be in rooms alone with Dougie and Ella and not me. A part of me knew it was because I was the fattest, sweatiest person in Annie Blackman's house. Ever since we were old enough to spend the night or day at our friend's house, we'd all play this game called hide and go get it. One person had to count to 35 and the other people had to hide, usually in a dark closet or a hallway. We played with boys and girls, but in the dark of those hallways and closets, sometimes folks would touch each other in ways they never touch each other when the lights were on. I hoped every time somebody touched me that it was a girl, but I had no clue if that was true. I was too afraid to touch anyone, but not too afraid to want to be touched. My body didn't care if the person touching me was a boy or a girl. My body felt grateful for gentle touch, no matter where it came from. Around the same time, girls and girls' bodies and girls' booties and girls' touches made me feel not just special, but sexier and more beautiful than boys' touches and boys' bodies and boys' booties. I didn't know why, and I wasn't sure how to use words to explain it. I didn't know who would listen to me explain something so scary, even if I thought I'd found the words. I kept thinking you should have been the one I talked to about it all, since you were the one who taught me how to read, taught me how to write. But sex and bodies and booties and feeling good and pain and gentle touch were something we never ever talked about. My body told different stories about you and Renata, even though her touch was rough and yours was gentle. But when both of you touched me, it all felt like love too, until it didn't. Then it felt like dying. Though I had no idea what was going through Ella and Dougie's heads and the bodies as they walked into Daryl's bedroom, I wondered if they ever felt love while they were in there with the big boys. I knew, shamefully, that I would have. Every half an hour, I went back in Annie Blackman's room and I called Malachi Hord's house looking for you. I hated that I could never forget Malachi Hord's phone number. Hated that I could trace the shape of every syllable on that answering machine message. You have reached the home of attorney Malachi Hord Jr. I am unavailable. Please leave a detailed message and I will return your call. Ashe. Malachi Hord's favorite way to start sentences was, That damn white man. According to Malachi Horde, that damn white man's crowning failure was that he overestimated himself and underestimated the resolve of the, quote, revolutionary black man in Mississippi. There were no black women, no white women, no Mexican women in Malachi Horde's political imagination. But once I understood that Malachi Horde was the revolutionary black man in Mississippi to Malachi Horde, and being the revolutionary black man in Mississippi meant carrying himself like he saw rich, radical white men carry themselves, I understood almost everything I needed to know about him. You and Malachi Horde didn't share the same political imaginations about black folk in Mississippi. You were more invested in organizing, teaching, grassroots political movement to help black folk in rural Mississippi exit poverty. Malachi Horde was much more invested in becoming a black Southern symbol of wealth and black power before he was 50. But when it came to kids, y'all were both invested and really obsessed with what you called redeeming value. You didn't think black children should watch shows, listen to music, or read books with violence, nudity, adult situations, cussing, because violence, nudity, adult situations, and cussing lacked redeeming value. I always thought that was funny. This key, I said in the Malachi Horde's answer machine. Please come get me. You told me you would beat me if I went home, so I'm just waiting here in Annie Blackman's driveway. Annie Blackman house, got my head hurting. It's real sad over here. An hour later, you pulled up. It didn't matter where I was, how late you were, or how angry we were with each other when you dropped me off. Nothing on earth felt as good as watching you pull up in the Nova to pick me up. I love you, I told you as I got in the Nova. You didn't say anything. I love you, I said again. Your right cheek was trembling. You ain't hear me leave the messages? Put your seatbelt on, you said in the most brittle voice I'd ever heard you use. You just started making me wear my seatbelt a week earlier. I put the seatbelt on and watched you put yours on. When a round tear slid down your cheek, the tear slowed down, sped up past your thin top lip, and slipped in the black corner of your mouth. I'd seen you cry when you talked to me about grades, or when you lied about having money, or when you begged my father for child support. I didn't know why you were crying today. I put my left hand on your right fist you used to steer the Nova. How come you can't look at me? You stopped the Nova at the stop sign on the corner of Beasley and Hanging Moss and slowly turned your face to mine. The white of your left eye was filled with a cloud of blood. The brown flesh around the eye was darker, puffed up twice its normal size. When we got to the house, you knew what I was going to get. You pushed me away and rushed me into your room. I watched you lift your pillow where you kept the gun. You begged me not to get it. If I got it, you knew what I would do. Instead of going to my room, I got ice, napkins, a jar of pear preserves, a spoon, and a butcher knife. You gotta be still for real, I told you, wiping the dry blood off your face with thumbs wet with my saliva. Have to be, you said. Don't say gotta. Gotta, I said. Gotta. They gotta have fleas in Annie Blackman's house. The fleas over there, they gotta be the maddest fleas in the world, the way they be biting me all upside my head. Gotta. You laughed so hard and told me not to use the word be like that. I hope you never stop laughing. I don't want any pear preserves, Key. Not right now. How come? Just too sweet. When you finally put your arm around my neck, I felt all of your weight. Hold me tight, Key, you said from my bed. You're my best friend. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for all of this. You're my best friend too, I told you. My best friend forever. Lying next to you in that bed, I remember the first time you told me I was your best friend. I knew you kissed my cheeks because you loved me. I knew you asked me to hold you tighter because you loved me. I knew you kissed my lips because you loved me. We stayed in that room for hours until you made me walk to school. For more than half a year, this was how we spent our mornings in my bedroom and yours. Then you met Malachi Horde. We stopped sleeping together. You started sleeping with him. A few weeks later, you started to beat me for talking back. beat me for way less than excellent grades. Sometimes you beat me upside the head, sometimes across my hands. Sometimes you hit me as hard as you could in my mouth with belts and shoes and fists and clothes hangers. I remember you making me take off my clothes and lie across the same bed we kissed in. I don't think I ever screamed like that. You made me put my face down into the bed so I couldn't brace myself. As much as the lashes hurt, knowing you were beating me as hard as you could while looking at my fat, naked black body hurt way more. The beatings less than they should have. The beatings hurt less than they should have, I think, because I knew you didn't really want to hurt me. I knew you didn't really want to hurt me because you touched me like you loved me days earlier. I just wish you would have chosen one kind of touch, even if it was just beating me. That would have made everything a lot less confusing. You were still snoring in my bed when Malachi Horde pulled a black Volvo into our driveway. You woke up when I gripped it and pulled it and tried to kill a revolutionary black man from Mississippi that night. 6 hours later, you and Malachi Horde took one glass of wine to your bedroom. From inside my bedroom, I heard long-tailed rats hiking through our walls, wet tires skating past our windows, and Johnny Carson's monologue. I couldn't hear your voice, the only voice I wanted to hear when I woke up, the last voice I wanted to hear before going to sleep. I opened the bedroom door, walked down the hallway a few feet from your bedroom. Behind a locked door, Malachi Horde said he was sorry for punching you in your face, sorry for making you bleed, sorry for fighting your son, sorry for punishing you for wanting to know the truth. You told Malachi Horde that you wanted a daughter, and that you were sorry for running away. I went back to my bedroom and heard your bedroom door unlock and lock again. The many squeaks from your bed started, and they got louder, and they got louder, and they got louder. I got on my knees, and I prayed to God not to hear you wailing under the weight of the revolutionary black man from Mississippi. I hated my heavy black body. I walked in the kitchen, got the biggest spoon I could find, and dipped it halfway in the peanut butter and the pear preserves Grandma had given us. I heard the wailing all the way in the kitchen. I dipped the same spoon a quarter deep into Grandma's pear preserves and put the whole spoon in my mouth. I did it again and again and again until the jar of peanut butter was gone. The wailing did not stop. Before leaving the kitchen, I gulped down a few mason jars of your box wine until I forgot the shape of the sound I was running from. When I was supposed to be finishing my report for you on Fannie Lou Hamer, I wrote instead about losing my body to an emergency. I was too sad, too drunk, too terrified to identify. Early the next morning, I had my first wet dream. I was afraid to tell you about the dream, afraid to tell you that what my body did, while you and Malachi Horde tried to love each other, because I knew you'd ask me why. And though I never wanted you to touch me again, I still didn't want to lie to you. Lying felt like something you should never do to your best friend. Thank y'all.
I don't plan everything out ahead of time. I have an idea. I have, my concepts, but I kind of hold them loosely. I let the process kind of inform every single layer. So I might have an idea, I want some gold strips, but even before coming into the studio, I won't really know which kind of paper I want to use. I'm Emily Jelinski, and I am a printmaker and mixed media artist here in Iowa City. When I make a print, I have this wonderful, awful, habit of being like, oh, what can I do with this? My mind just runs and runs and runs with all the different types of things I can do with one image. Because of that, I tend to not stick with just one process. So, I'll make some intaglio prints and I'm really into it. All I want to do is be in the print shop. And then the next week, all I want to be is in my studio sewing into them. With sewing, it was something that my grandmother taught me how to do. I remember even when I was really young that French knots were my favorite. They're very therapeutic and they're just so satisfying. You know, you kind of pull it down and there's this beautiful little knot. So that's really carried with me. And the idea of bringing mindfulness into my creative practice is an integral part to my work. And so the French knots are very therapeutic for me to make. I really like having things that bloom from the center. So just this radiating, circular motifs from the center. I mean, I'm all about that. I've been constantly, I don't want my work to just be a piece on the wall. I want people to be able to look at it and to remember to pause and breathe, to feel hope, to feel maybe something that they can't feel themselves yet. It's not only an act of mindfulness and therapy for myself to create these things, but I want it to be therapeutic for other people as well. I mean, that's very important for me and my work.
Good. I like that.